So I may have just told my client that his NLP training that he's taking was a total waste of money. Okay, maybe not exactly, but I did need to explain why I'm doing things a little differently, and there is a juicy story here. Hi everybody, Coach Andrea here, impacting 1 million entrepreneurs, one breakthrough at a time. So let's dive into this story. So here's the thing. I work with a lot of high impact, mission driven, like big thinking, visionary entrepreneurs and founders. And with that territory comes a lot of them investing in themselves, them growing themselves, learning. And so I was working with this client, super curious guy, has a couple of different companies, over 40 employees. And when we started to work together, he actually came to me because he'd been dealing with some procrastination for a couple of years. Now, he had done all the logical things, read the books, hired people on time management, things like this. And obviously he's got 40 employees, so it was not for lack of team or support that he was still struggling with these things. And what I did was I actually took him through rapid core transformation, which is my signature process for moving and shifting things for people. But this story is not about rapid core transformation. So this client is, like I said, incredibly bright, incredibly curious, and so decides to take this NLP training. Now, here's the thing. I am trained out the nose. I have had NLP coach, hypnosis, solution-focused coaching training, all of these things, not just at the practitioner level, but with the NLP specifically all the way up to the trainer level. So I know exactly what he's going through in the training. So he's all excited. He comes back to me. I'm learning this and that about myself. I'm like, that's great. And then he's like, Andrea, but we're learning how to do certain things and certain breakthroughs, and I'm wondering why you didn't have me do certain things when we did our process together. And it was really interesting. And here's where the question was coming from. It was kind of like, Andrea, are you really doing things right? Now, this is where it got interesting. When he told me what they were learning in the certification program, I was like, well, that's really interesting. That is exactly the same stuff that I learned over 13 years ago. Now, I want you to imagine for a second how much technology has changed in over a decade, how social media has changed, how even in the last couple of years, as we've seen like this explosion of AI, and that's going to continue in how we do things. I want you to imagine if things had stayed the same. So here's where this gets interesting is there's a training, there's a lot of value in it, but they are teaching the same stuff that I learned over a decade ago. So this is what I say to my client, right? This training is great. And when you're looking at any kind of a training in a certification program, they have to give you a framework, a set of steps, right? It's almost like if you are learning how to bake a cake for the first time, you need to know the ingredients, you know how to mix the ingredients, you need to know when to put the cake in the oven, you need to know when to take the cake out of the oven, right? You need to know the set of steps in order to make a cake successfully. But what happens once you know how to make a cake? You might want to change up the ingredients, you might want to change up the flavors, you might play with different kinds of flours, you might play with gluten-free flour, you might do all kinds of different things. Why? Because you have experience. You've got the core foundations down, and now you can go do different things. So it's the exact same thing in coaching. When you have somebody who has been, like myself, working with clients for over a decade, you get to see what works and what doesn't work with people. And so instead of having a recipe that is like a generic, almost like same kind of cake for everybody, you're like, well, you know what? You want a vanilla cake, you want a chocolate cake, you want a rainbow sparkle cake, rainbow sprinkles, that's what I was trying to say. We're gonna give you the kind of cake you want. And that is only something that comes with experience, with time, with being in the trenches, like boots on the ground, working with people to see what works and what doesn't work. Apart from that, there have been so many advances in neuroscience research in the effects of forgiveness, for example, on brainwave states, emotional intelligence, neuroenergetics. Like there has been so much that we have learned since I did my initial trainings that if I was only to do things the way that I learned it over a decade ago, it would be like I was stuck back there without actually incorporating all of these things that we've learned about performance and how human beings function and all of that. So all of that to say, I told my client, it was great that he was doing a training, that he was looking to learn more about himself, and to recognize that there are only like these certain core pieces that he needs to learn or would be useful for him. But beyond that, anybody that's got experience, anybody that has been working with people for years and years is not going to be doing it the exact same way as, let's say, a practitioner or somebody who is learning something for the very first time. So I say a little tongue-in-cheek, I didn't actually tell him it was a waste of money. I think it's really important to invest in yourself and keep growing. I do also think it's important, though, to take a look at, are certain things keeping up with the times? Are things being updated? And if you are in a program, if you're taking a training that has not been updated in years and years and years, when there are advances that have been made in those areas, maybe you look for something that's got a little bit more of a modern twist, or somebody that is staying on the cusp of leading edge research and adapting and growing as they do. And I think that's, for me, one of the things that makes Rapid Core Transformation so appealing is, while there is a foundation of scientific principles of what it takes to release emotions and release thoughts and rewire the way we think, it is being updated with the newest in research and from working with clients day in and day out to help them grow themselves, to grow their business. So if you liked this story, I would love to hear from you. What are you taking away from it? What are you discovering? Because I am here to help you grow yourself so that you can grow your business. So if you liked this content, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next time around.